They're guys. They do magic. They are the magic guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Welcome to the podcast with the Magic Guys. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Doug Kahn.
Greetings. How are you,
Josh?
Josh?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's just me representing Australia today. Our buddy Jace is off doing some important business, but nonetheless, in a second you'll meet him, but we have a great co-host to take his place. But
no doubt. This is an exciting stream.
I still enjoy listening to your new mic so much.
Look, man, I've had problems with this thing. Holy crap. Wasn't quite the spark I was hoping for, but got the old funkin' ring working.
We'll take it. Good to see everyone on the stream as well. Bob, we missed you, man. We're glad you're here. And
Goldbug, what's happening?
All the supporters are showing up. This is great. But we know you're not really here for us, okay? So we love watching Got Talent shows. I mean, I got to be on one, but the smaller version, Australia's Got Talent. Doug, you were on New Orleans.
No. But look, I've watched every single episode of America's Got Talent that's ever been aired. So I'm a fan of all variety arts and certainly this show.
Yeah, that's right. Do you watch Britain's Got Talent in the US?
I watch the highlights of the magicians for sure, and then usually the winners. I don't watch the whole series.
That's right. And it made big news around the world when a magician, a fellow brethren, won Britain's Got Talent.
Truly a coolness.
We've been asking him since 2016, since he won, to come on the podcast.
We started the Magic Guys just for this moment. It's about time.
Exactly, and we've finally got him. So, ladies and gentlemen, it brings me great honor to welcome our next guest.
No doubt.
Let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Richard Jones.
What an intro. Thank you. Good to be here.
Welcome to the pod, Richard.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We love your setup.
Everyone in the chats as well.
And we appreciate your virtual setup. Yes.
Oh, cool. I appreciate it. It changed so many times during lockdown.
Did you do a virtual thing during the lockdown? Were you staying busy online?
Yeah, I waited out for about 6 months, hoping that COVID wouldn't last as long, and then I gave in. So, yeah, after about 6 months, I put together a show, and still doing them now. Not so often now, but I assume. Did you both do virtuals?
We
did
tinkered
one
with it. Yeah, mainly this podcast was born out of that.
Yeah.
So that's our sort of digitalness.
Yeah. What episode is this? This is in the 70s now, right?
Mate, this is your episode 78. 78
nice.
Of the Magic Guys. Yeah, so it'll go down in history, you know. Right now, we've got 3 different parts of the world on this stream. Australia, America, UK. This is brilliant. This is what
a crazy time to be alive. Freaking crazy
I'm
town,
keeping an eye out for anyone in the UK in the comments, because it's pretty late.
That's right. Anyone up late. That's right.
Most of my followers are asleep.
Yeah, we say double thanks for staying up late for this jam.
Oh, mate. So have you done any magic podcasts? I don't want to, go over the same kind of stuff.
Let me interject here and be semi-professional for the listeners who might not be aware of Richard Jones and what he has accomplished. We didn't mention this man's accolades, did we?
Well, I mentioned just briefly, but before I dive right into it, I want to check. I don't know if you're on podcasts every 3 months and they ask you the same. What was it like?
Oh, I see. It was a segue question. My bad.
No, I've done quite a few podcasts, but I don't think I've done any magician specific podcasts for a while. So this is
great.
This is more exciting for me. I'm sure the questions and the chat will be cooler.
Yeah, that's right. You guys have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll bring them up as we go. But obviously you did the thing that we all dream about is going on Got Talent, blowing their minds and taking the win. So, it was so long ago now, but I mean, for you, is that still is it a thing you're like, oh yeah, I did that back then? Or is it still at the forefront of your career and you know?
I still use it as a big part of my marketing, obviously, but it feels like a long time ago now. It was 6 years ago, but I'm still a big fan of the show. I still watch. I now try to watch as many magicians on Got Talent around the world. I saw you. I'm very impressed by. I loved your first audition with a backflip, and very, very cool.
Thanks.
So yeah, no, it's nice to see. I mean, Got Talent shows. I think probably 2 or 3 years before I went on, that's when people started to really love magic on, especially Britain's Got Talent. Before that, the show used to kind of make us feel a bit like we're like joke acts. But luckily,
there was a long, dark era where the Got Talent series just did not like magicians. They were not treated well, and
Would you say the same in your parts of the world as well? Then, up until kind of the last few years, it's been tough for magicians, right?
Right.
I could only remember like Kevin James doing well, you know, because he's doing more stage, and then I remember David Penn. I remember going, oh, David Penn's doing some cool illusions and things on Britain's Got Talent.
You know, there was a lot of great talent in the early years that should have really shined, and they didn't when acts that would better America's Got Talent, like singers who have shows to shine on. They don't need to be on a variety show. These acts would get pushed because they could make money for the brand, and magicians couldn't. Although now maybe the singers aren't making as much money, and they could put the variety acts in Vegas showrooms, and then everyone's happy now.
Yeah. You know what? I think that's probably spot on, because I mean, I feel like they've not made, the brand Britain's Got Talent haven't made any money out of me since winning.
So that was kind of where I was going earlier when we started. I was wondering what you had done after the show, and like what life was like transitioning from the win.
It's been weird. I mean, I've been very lucky. I still so I'm doing everything I always wanted to do now, but it's very different from what people expect me to be doing. People probably think I'm still attached to Simon Cowell and Britain's Got Talent, but that's not what happened. I came off the show, got a management, and now the majority of what I do are corporate shows, and I do a tour show every year. I've done a lot of TV since, but there's not really any money in the UK in like, you can't make a living out of just doing TV. I do TV every now and again just to help me sell theatre tickets. Right. But I mean, I had a primetime Saturday night show a few months after Britain's Got Talent, which I was really proud of. But it was like a rushed show. We had no time to make it.
It was a prime time show. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So like a Saturday night, 8 o'clock show for an hour. And it followed me going around my army career, but doing tricks for the soldiers. And we had a lot of famous people in it.
Cool.
But I mean, the problem with shows in the UK, magic shows, is producers don't really know what people want to see. They just want all the budget to be exploded on a giant tank appearance and lots of stuff that are cool, but it's not really what I do, and it's not really what people want to see. But so it's kind
anymore.
of a bit disappointed in that. But I mean, TV magic, I feel like the bigger illusions don't do so well on TV. People aren't as interested. I feel like there's still an interest for stuff like Dynamo, where it's close up and you've got.
David Blaine showed us all that people are happy watching people react to magic as much as they are the grand illusions of the whatever happening. You know, it's becomes more than the effect.
And also a card trick's just as big as a tank appearance when you're watching on TV.
True, absolutely.
Just as big of an illusion. Yeah. We blew all our budget on silly props in the end, and it wasn't a great show.
It's so interesting because, you know, all of your rounds on BGT were close-up acts. So you would think, oh, we should follow on from that. And I think, was it the season just before you was when Jamie Raven came on, and he did like that classic Dan Harlan effect that went viral, even here in Australia. Was he the first magician that they really shone like close-up magic? I'm trying to think.
You know what? I think he was. Yeah, because the year before, I think was maybe
it James
Darcy
Moore
Oak,
before
he
that?
was.
Oh, right.
He was.
Darcy.
Yeah, and James Moore as well. But they were doing more kind of. They're more illusionist style, ripping their jackets off and all the cool hunky stuff. which I would love to have done, but I can't pull that off. So, but yeah, I think you're right. Jamie was probably the first time they'd had something real close up and a magician at the table as well.
That's right. Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
Yeah. Whereas now it's every year, it feels like it's more. That's what we're expected to do. People want to see us go to the table.
So if there's anything good with America's Got Talent, it's that they have brought a showcase for this style of magic to an audience who might not have it otherwise. So that's a like from me in the like column.
Yeah. You know? Our friend Christopher Wayne, who's been on the podcast and is a naked magician, one of the naked magicians, I should say, not just a naked magician. He went on Australia's Got Talent. This was before they had started loving close-up magic, and he did a chop cup routine, and he did it, and they were like, "Oh, that's great, but it's just too small. Look at this whole stage, and this is this small little thing," and that was, and then a few years later, he sees guys like yourself and everyone going on and getting praise for it, and actually them filming it well and properly, and he's like, "God damn it!"
Yeah. I mean, Shin Lim would eventually win with that style of magic in the United States, as did Matt Franco, really.
Yeah. That's right. Shin won he was 2018, I think, right? 2018.
So Matt was first, huh? When was Matt?
Matt Franco?
Yeah, I think Matt Franco was 2014-ish. It was before I won.
It was before your win. Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So Matt goes on. So Matt goes on 2014.
Paves the way.
Jamie Raven then gets a spotlight, and then Richard comes on. Third time lucky.
Yeah, I was lucky. I was in the right place at the right time every time that year, and a lot of it is down to the guys. Yeah, a few years before me, kind of setting that stage and kind of. I mean, Simon Cowell, I think it was the year before Jamie Raven.
That's right.
Yeah, I think Simon. Yeah, go on.
The thing you did really well was you injected a lot of magic into your routine. So it wasn't just like, here's 3 things. It was like, as you're getting the thought sent to you, you're like, the kinetic energy is going through, or like as you bring out the can, there's also smoke coming out of it. There was like a lot of little in-between bits that just always had magic happening.
That was a crazy set. Was that was your audition set, right? Where you're shocking the judges and making tea and appear in a can. How harrowing was that set for you? That's gotta be like walking a tightrope, huh?
Yeah. So I when I went on the show, my aim really was my thought process was if I could really do magic, I would do. It wouldn't just be the main tricks that would be happening. Everything I do would be odd and magical. So in my head, I was thinking if I needed to pick up a book, it would be nice if I went to reach it, and just a subtle lift into the hands would be nice, but so subtle that no one really notices, but the people who do would spread and be mad about that moment. So that's why in my head, I thought we want smoke, but only a tiny, tiny bit that people might not even notice, but the people who do will feel like they've seen something that maybe they shouldn't have even seen, and the shock and that kind of stuff. But in terms of the shock, I mean, going out onto I had a rehearsal on the day, which was lucky, but they had a big metal rail that the whole BGT judges stand was built on this huge metal platform, and I don't want to say too much, obviously, but I mean, it was. I did a test on the producers. Yeah, the kinetic energy was strong. And in a rehearsal, I did it at the lowest power of my powers. And that was pretty a big shock. But then just before I went on for the round with the judges, I thought, you know what, I might only get one shot at this. I'm just going to go all out. So I cranked up to the most danger level. And I always remember when the shock really happened. I mean, it was... Yes, I was pretty terrified that they were going to kick off and be like, "Oh, hold on a minute, that's not cool. You've shocked us." And I was really on edge, but they were nice about it too.
He took it the right way. Like he reacted really well.
That one was better.
But then he didn't lose his mind. He just he turned around to the audience. He was like, "I did not love that," or he just.
Oh yeah, he said, "I did not like that."
That's right. Yeah. Without going like crazy.
He could have destroyed me in that moment if he was going to be difficult.
Oh yeah,
but he was good. He was good to us. So
curious, was this? Did you develop this whole approach on your own? Did you get some what do they call them? These consultant guys to work with. I would assume that happens as the thing goes on, right?
But there is a consultant that works on the show, but the 1 year that he wasn't on the show, he's a great consultant. But the 1 year he wasn't on the show was the year I was on. So
interesting.
I mean, I wasn't really that well known, or I didn't really up until then kind of socialize that much in the magic community. I just had a small group of magician friends local to me at a local club.
Right.
Who great guys, none of them professionals, but they just love magic. And I always remember I sat down with them and we kind of just jammed on ideas. And we were lucky that pretty much all the ideas that I pitched for the semi-final and the final, the BGT team were just happy that they pretty much just said, yeah, we love it, do it. Whereas I know lots of other magicians in the past have had trouble because the ideas they want to do, the producers have said, look, no, you can't do this, or we want you to do this. So I got lucky that, yeah, I pretty much got to do everything I wanted to do.
I mean,
but Josh, I'm curious if they made you change anything for your. I assume they probably did, right?
Yeah. So I did the act you saw me audition with. So I did that for the producers, like the producer round before the TV round. And so I did the whole backflip, everything, put all my energy into it. And then they were like, and the producers, show no love in these rounds. They're just watching all the acts. Like, yep, that'll work on TV. That'll work. So I did this whole thing, and this guy in the end goes, yeah, that was cool. So that'll be a good like opener for your act. And then we want you to do like, it'd be cool if you do some like big stuff on the stage. I'm like, that's the whole act. And like, I know it'll work for an audience, but you're not seeing that right now. So yeah, they thought that would just be a little intro, me do this backflip, this whole dance, this thing, and then, allude to something bigger. But then I just did that act and it was fine. But then, yeah, the second act I did was a Rubik's Cube act, but it was supposed to be this big grand thing where because in Australia at least, they tell you, yeah, so the first round is all you, and then the second round will have a budget to like do bigger stuff. But it turned out they didn't actually have a budget, so like we couldn't do this bigger stuff. So it ended up just going back to my own magic. So that was my experience anyway. But
what is that? They just lie to you?
No. It wasn't that. It was there was a lot of meetings. So there's no way they're listening to this. So like, I had this idea and it was going to cost like 10 grand, but they were on board because they were like, the image that we'll create is like pretty crazy. But the problem is to spend that much money, like a lot of people have to tick lots of boxes. And there was just this one point where I was on a call with 3 producers on a phone call, and they're all grilling me with these different things they have to check. And like, they're like, but why is this person involved? And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, guys, this is not worth it. Like, this is not fun. How about I just do something that'll cost no money and I can just get on with that? And they're like, yeah, that will work too. So it was just a weird. Still love them, still grateful for going on and everything. But that was what I went through.
Well, I now tell magicians, I didn't really know at the time about the budgets and stuff. I mean, the only thing the BGT team paid for me, but it was just because I was naive and didn't really ask for anything, but they paid for the flag that we used in the final, and they paid a certain amount of money to have the British Army band. They had to pay for the British Army band that we had in the final. But now in hindsight, looking back, I realized that some of the acts they do just spend such a huge amount of money on. And now I tell people, anyone going through, if you're going to be in the live shows, as soon as you're announced that you're going to be in the live semifinals, they're going to pretty much have to go with whatever you end up saying, look, this is what I'm going to do. If they try and change your act too much, if you say, no, this is what I'm going to do, I'm not going to change it, it's much more of a hassle for them to then go back and say, okay, they're now not in the semi-final, we're replacing you or whatever. It's much more hassle rather than them just saying, okay, we'll do with whatever your act is. So I always tell magicians, if on the day, which happens all the time, if on the day they say you now can't do that trick, you've got to do a different one, just say it's that trick or I'm not going on. Because, I mean, it's far more complicated for them to resolve it if they have to can you. So, but right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that at the time, but
we all learn, hey.
Yeah.
We had a question from Bob, but Bob, we did kind of go through this question a little bit, but since you asked, Richard was saying he mainly uses his TV performances as like promo for the tours he's doing at the time, and that kind of thing. That's pretty accurate, right? But you do quite a few TV. Like I've seen quite a decent amount of segments of you going on shows, so it's great.
The majority of shows I do are like morning shows over here. So if I ever have anything to promote, it's either if I'm promoting a tour, or sometimes the army asks me to go on and talk about certain events that are going on in the army and like the Queen's birthday and stuff like that. So they usually get me on to be a spokesperson for them. So, but it's generally the morning shows. I mean, I don't do any. We don't really have that many kind of late night shows over here, like that are really good in America, like
like Jimmy Fallon and
yeah.
Jimmy.
I mean, there seems to be loads of magicians doing amazing things on the evening shows over in the States. That
on Fallon for sure, but yeah, they are magicians are getting a lot of airtime in the States on talk shows, even like daytime Ellen and Ellen shows, stuff like that.
Yeah, I swear
that's actually a question I got for Josh, because I know in America, I feel like the respect for magicians. I feel like if I'm at a gig in the UK, I feel like the moment they know you're a magician, you've got to really prove yourself first to really warm them into feeling like it's the accepting you to perform for them. Whereas I feel like in America, there's so much more of a respect for magicians before they even know how good you are or what you're going to do. I feel like they're more welcoming to witness it. But I'm curious what it's like in Australia, because I mean, Josh, you seem super busy. I mean, I watched some of your vlogs and it seems like everyone's pretty up for everything, but I feel like in the UK, we're very reserved. So go on.
Well, Australia, it depends. If I'm on stage, Australia is a very lazy audience. Like they're not one to go crazy with applause and stuff. Laughter, yes, because that's just a natural reaction. But you really have to break them for them to be on board. Like they're just like a standing ovation is like almost it's like a unicorn, right? Like compared to if you're in a US theater or something. But close-up magic, like you get a few drinks in them and they're good fun. Maybe they have good banter. I don't know if it's the same height of banter as you get in the UK, but yeah, you say you're a magician and for the most part, they're like really intrigued because most people haven't seen magic. Most people haven't seen magic in real life. So they, they've seen it on TV. Like, oh, do you do like what Richard Jones did on Britain's Got Talent? I'm like, well, let me show you, But yeah, I'm fortunate to be very busy here. And again, Australia's not a big place, but there's only like a handful of professional magicians, like actually doing it full time. So it's not like they're seeing a magician at every event they're going to. So that might play a part in it too.
Hey, but I'm going to politely disagree, Richard. I think the mindset of the general American public is that magic is a children's entertainment, and that every time, in my experience, I have to earn their trust, confidence, appreciation every single time I perform. Rarely do I say, "Hi, I'm Doug the Magician." They're like, "Oh, we're waiting on you all night." No, it's always.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Absolutely. So maybe being handsome and British, maybe I need that in my life, and then I can ease into my performance situations a little easier in America.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, us over here, we're jealous of how it looks like it's.
I think things have changed. Because of things like America's Got Talent and Fool Us and a number of other things, Magic for Humans and so on. And, now people are starting to appreciate what we do as a more refined entertainment or art, maybe, as opposed to just a guy in a tuxedo pulling women out of boxes and doing bad magic at a birthday party. Because that's still what I think most of America thinks, at least the people I hang with, but I hang out with old people. So hopefully the younger mindset is appreciating our art form on a different level.
That's right. We're changing the perspective one good piece of magic at a time.
Magic does that, right? It constantly changes and adapts to what it needs to be.
Yeah, I think there's pun intended, I guess, like there's a few magic soldiers out there that are really like breaking that stereotype where they're trying to break that mold. Like when we had Eric Leclerc on the other week, he's like, my one goal when I go up to a group is to break the stereotype of what they think a magician is.
So yeah,
and that's what we're doing.
But he's an older guy too, actually. So
Do you get many magic theatre shows in Australia? Is there many guys? Because I know you do a theatre show yourself, but is that quite a common thing in theatres?
So we're the first like magic show, like ensemble magic show that's been here other than The Illusionists. But there's there's a really great show called Celtic Illusion, who a friend of ours does this, but it's like a big Irish dance, like Lord of the Dance style thing, but with illusions built into it. That's a big show, but yeah, there aren't that many theater shows.
Do y'all have anything like the Magic Castle there? Like, or they have like House of Cards, Chicago Magic Clown. We have places like that in the States. Is there anything like that in Australia, Josh?
No, they used to, before my time, there was a place called Magic Mountain. That was like a dinner cabaret theater, but we don't have that. No, so there is a place. There is
nothing like that, huh?
There's a few. There's a few in Sydney, and just in Sydney, there are two resident magic shows, like parlor magic shows that happen every week, but no magic castles.
It's a big market waiting to be tapped.
Absolutely.
By the sounds of it. Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah. What's the magic circle like? Is it is it as elusive as it feels here in Australia?
I mean, it's an amazing place. Like, we're very lucky to have it. But it's very different. I think I've not been to the Magic Castle, but I feel like the aim and agenda of it is very different. I get the vibe that the Magic Castle is very much a place to entertain the public. I feel like a big part of it is constant shows and reaching out to new people and advancing magic in the eyes of people going to LA. Whereas the Magic Circle there's great magicians. We've got a great theatre, library and showrooms, and we have great lectures. But they don't tend to do many shows there, and the shows that they do, it's kind of I get the vibe that it's very often they're just looking for whoever's available, and I don't think it's necessarily it's not set up. People don't look forward. People don't reach out to want to perform there. Whereas I feel like lots of people in America, I assume it's a big dream to perform at the Magic Castle. I assume. Whereas in the UK, we don't have that kind of relationship with wanting to. But I suppose also you get A-listers and you seem to get big, huge stars going to the Magic Castle. Whereas
it's a private club.
Secretive.
What is the situation for getting into the Magic Circle? Like, the castle is a dinner and drinks, and you got and so it's this exclusive
so we don't
thing.
have that,
right?
Yeah, the only thing, so I believe they do maybe 2 shows a month at the Magic Circle, I believe. And what they do, so they'll arrive at 6:00 in the evening. They'll have some close-up magic for an hour. They'll have a bar area to get drinks. And then in the evening, they'll have a show on stage, like a cabaret show with lots of different magicians. But yeah, it's not the same kind of, it's not as big of an event that you have over in the castle.
So is the Circle a private club, or how is it governed? If you clarify that.
Yes, it's only for magicians. So, but in all honesty, I as far as I'm aware, we're only really open to members on Monday nights and Wednesday afternoons. So if you're a member of the Magic Circle and you want to hang out with other magicians at the club, your only real opportunity really is Monday nights. So it's a good thing in a way, because it's usually quite busy on Monday nights.
Yeah, right. That's fine. I think it's something.
But yeah, I feel like we don't do enough shows. I feel like it should be like a West End vibe. Like, people should know about it when they decide, we're going to go and see The Lion King, we're going to go and see Les Mis, or the Magic Circle. But we're not in that area. No, people don't think of the Magic Circle, which is a bit of a shame. But
with the success of all the magic venues popping up, like we just spoke of, Magic Castle, Magic Clowns, Prestige, House of Cards, there's a lot of them. Why wouldn't they be like?
Yeah, I think it's very much volunteer run. I think that's probably if it was more of a business, it would probably there'd be a lot more shows for sure.
Gutbuster Mike was just asking, like, do you think the price is worth it to get in, and for what? To that, I would just say that's because you haven't been there yet. It's a very magical place that to get in, you have to say the magic password for the bookcase to open up. So that's just the beginning. So that You just have to go there to understand. And it's not even that much. I think when I went there, it was so first you have to get an invite from a member, but it was like $40 to get in, and then you have your meal, so you pay for your meal, and then you're in. So it's not even that expensive.
See the best magicians in the world, or at least top tier, and hang out with some of
not to mention Invisible Irma. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
Is that the piano?
Okay, we'll move on.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, Irma the piano. Yes.
Yeah. So
is that? Am I right?
That's right. That's it. Yeah. It's incredible. Because I got to visit the Magic Castle once because I really wanted to see Michael Vincent, and I just so happened to be visiting the US when he was doing the close-up room and magical place. But I would fly there again just to go to the castle, I reckon. Okay, but look, back to Richard. Man, what are you enjoying doing at the moment? I saw you even have some magic kits available now.
Oh, yeah. I should have had one on hand to show you, but got no idea where they are. Damn it, I'm so underprepared. Yeah, still got a magic set, and I do. So my main thing at the minute, I'm just about to release dates for my new tour. They were supposed to already be released by now, but at the minute, theatres are still kind of just getting back up and running at the moment. A lot of them are still doing shows. They're back up running, doing shows, but they're still on shorter staff and shorter hours and stuff at the minute because they're still heavily impacted from COVID. But we've got about 24 dates so far, which will be the end of this year, going into the start of next year. Oh, there we go. The Box of Magic.
Is this for like back of room sales?
Yeah, so in all honesty, the majority of the magic sets are for the tour show. So whenever I do a live show, I think it's nice for people to go away and have a bit of magic that they can go away and do. So that was the main agenda. But anyone who emails me, I can still sell them and send them out. But my main
curious if you have anyone demonstrating the magic there for those kits.
I would love to have someone there. But yeah,
that would make a difference.
No, I don't. Yeah, it definitely would. It's just, my team. I have quite a small team when I travel around. And you know what? We're so busy because usually I'll get in time on the day. We turn up very often. I'll get in time at the venue. We can't get in until 3:00 or 4:00, and I do a VIP pre-show, close-up magic show for VIPs at 6. So we have to set up an entire show within 2 or 3 hours. So
are you doing illusions in this show?
It's not really nothing too big. It's mainly light-hearted magic, but a couple of emotional magic parts in it. And it's a combination of stories from my army career that I interweave into the magic. A lot of classic stuff, a lot of audience participation.
I noticed that too.
But no illusions.
In my short, stunt to starting to do theater shows, I've realized that too, that there's such a time crunch in when you're actually allowed to get into the venue and when the show starts. I thought you have all this luxury of slowly setting things up and doing run-throughs and all this kind of thing. But over here, there's unions for the staff that work in the theaters, and they're like very strict on how many hours the crew can be working for and when they must take a break and wow.
And also the get out as well, right?
That's right.
Getting out after,
How quick is it for you? Because for us, we finish the show, we do meet and greets, and then we have, I want to say, like 40 minutes to like get out.
Pretty much.
It's like
and then
overtime.
They start charging you, double time because it's past 11 o'clock.
Ruthless. There's no art after the show. The art ends 20 minutes after the curtain falls.
Exactly.
Yeah. But they don't tell you on the night. They're more than happy for you to take as long as you want. They're super welcoming and you feel like they don't really mind that you're keeping them. But then when you get the bill the next week and you realize that they were being paid 30 quid an hour to wait for you.
The only good thing is when you do a 2-day show, like a matinee and an evening, because you actually get that little in between bit where you can just relax a little because you've already set everything up. There's a little lull moment there.
Yeah.
Here's a question: what's the promotion for these shows in this day and age? Like, is it Facebook? Is it radio?
So for me, so part of the reason I do a lot of morning shows on TV, on national TV, is to announce my tours. But in all honesty, it's probably wasted. I find that the most effective media is local media. So, I mean, if I go on a national TV show, it'll be seen by millions, but the chances of those people sat at home being just down the road from the theatre venue are very slim.
Yeah, but maybe there's lingering like perceived value from that for when they see you again on the local news on the morning show. Then they're like, oh yeah, I saw that guy in the thing.
It's definitely good for social media to post that, oh, I've just been on this TV show or whatever. It's definitely good to kind of keep the level high of people's expectations of the show. But in all honesty, the best way to sell tickets for us here in the UK is to do local radios, local newspaper magazines, and that kind of stuff. But I also use Facebook ads because I find it a shame that I've got lots of followers who I quite often, once I finish a show, I might then in the next couple of days, once I've posted videos of the show, people saying, oh, I'm gutted, I didn't know you. That was just down the road from me or whatever. And it's such a shame that Facebook doesn't show your posts to hardly anyone unless you put paid advertisement behind it. But it's still great. It's such a great way of honing in on people that are just 2-3 miles away from each venue. It's a great way to get people.
How big is social media in your life? Is this a big part of your life, posting on Instagram and these kind of things, or not?
I try to. It's one of those things where I feel like I'm on too many things because I'm on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And I mean, I do. So I use obviously Ecamm Live. I use to go live, and I can go live on. I usually go live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and LinkedIn as well now. But then it's just such a shame that I'm kind of then excluding people on Instagram and TikTok. So then I feel like I have to go live there as well separately. Because if I go live at the same time, they've got no idea what I'm talking about because I'm flashing things up on the screen on here and they're not seeing it. But I feel like I'm way overwhelmed with it. I really love chatting and seeing people's names popping up who always post nice comments. It's so nice to do that. I don't do enough social media for sure. I can't keep up with it. It's real.
I mean, you are actually a busy magician, which is a great thing. So it's hard to keep up with that load of content at the same time.
Well, my aim. I mean, go on.
No, sorry. You're the guest, please.
I was just going to say my ideal. I mean, I'm big into YouTube. I love YouTube. I'd love to post more YouTube, but I wish my YouTube was like yours, Josh. Josh, I don't know. It seems like you take a videographer to every one of your shows. You've got cool footage. I have hardly any magic videos on my YouTube, and it's just because whenever I go places, I very rarely have. There's always videographers and photographers at the venues, but it's very rare that I can manage to get that footage confirmed and agreed on after. Most venues that I go to, most events, if I ask them, oh, do you mind if I video and post some of this stuff? It's very unlikely that they would allow me to do that because it's their guests and whatever. So I feel gutted that I would love to post so much more footage of magic, and that's what people want to see, but I haven't quite found the way of doing that yet. But
it's hard, right?
It's difficult.
You should be doing that though.
I do it because I just want to be able to watch this stuff again, when I'm retired, or even just watching the stuff from a year ago is like cool to watch. But two things. Jason, who our co-host who isn't here, he used to live in Brisbane, so him or like another magician friend of mine would happily come along to my close-up gigs, like if I'm just doing a cocktail event, and they'd be my cameraman because I have the camera and stuff already. But the really high quality ones is a videographer that I bring in. But for anyone listening who's trying to work on their promo material and film these kind of things, I just simply say to them, hey, can I bring my videographer? I'm working on my promo reel, but also I'll cut a 1-minute montage of your event and give it to you for free.
There you go. Give them the value.
Yeah, which they love because it would cost them a few $1,000s for a videographer to do that normally. And then sometimes I'll offer a slight discount. I'll say, hey, it's this much, but I'll knock a small amount off if you don't mind a videographer coming around. And I'll give you the 1-minute montage, and that usually sells them.
These are good bargaining tools.
That's a really great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening, which starts to happen now, is you keep those minute montages as unlisted videos. And now I can sell that as an extra package. I can say, look, it costs this much to have me here, but for an extra whatever amount, I can also have my magic videographer come around and make a montage of your guests reacting. Here's like a whole bunch we've done in the past. And then they go, yeah, I'll take that as well. And now you're getting paid to vlog the event. That's the goal you want to eventually get to.
Josh, if I ever get professional, I want you to work for me.
Yeah. Well, the ironic thing is Doug here has the biggest YouTube channel out of all of us. So we really need to be learning from Doug. I think, Doug, what's it up to now?
8 billion.
8 billion.
I had a rush last week.
Yeah. 600,000 subscribers or something.
You're up to 5 something.
Really?
Wow. It's the power of YouTube Shorts.
I'm going to look you up right now.
Yeah. It's funny.
Well, I knew you had a shop.
So that's where I cash in all this big money I'm making from that retail magic.
Yeah, it's funny because when you mentioned YouTube channel, I was ready for you to say Doug, and then you said Josh, and I'm like, oh, what? You're actually talking about my channel. But
I apologize, Doug. I haven't.
There's no apologies necessary. I'm quite humble about the following I have on YouTube. It was garnered during the pandemic and at the beginning of YouTube Shorts. Fortune favors the prepared. I was prepared and I rode the wave. Still riding.
Yeah. Doug, I would love to see if you put on a public show.
Yeah.
Anywhere. It would be really interesting to see.
I think about it all the time. And I have
what audience is coming just from your organic audience,
Yeah. Yeah, I think, now that I have that many eyeballs, I can book these shows probably any city I want in the country on a small level. I don't want to do a big theater show. I want to do an intimate experience, maybe 100 max, probably maybe 200. But so we'll see. Within the next year or two, there will be an option to buy a ticket to the Doug Kahn show. I hope I don't hate it.
Good.
I'm not a big fan of performing, Richard. It's not my thing. So, but I do it.
Right.
But it's just not my love.
As long as you have someone handling all the logistical stuff, you can just do the entertaining part. That's
I mean, the toughest part of doing a tour show is not the magic. It's not the show. Yeah. People don't realize, people don't really think about it, but I spend 90% of my career just driving. Like, I'm more of a driver than I am a magician. Yeah. I'm on the road and unloading, and
definitely the last year I've been traveling a lot more, and I see this being my life probably for the next decade, and it's just going to snowball as the years move on. Yeah, I can't wait for you to see that show, Bob. I'm going to try and make it a good one. But if nothing else, it'll be fun if it's not good.
Wait, you've got a shop as well, right? Is that right?
So I've worked in a lot of magic shops my life. I had one in New Orleans back in the early 2000s, and then I run conjure.com. And I tell you what, I just do that mainly to give myself access to magic and to give people that are in my my tribe there, to give them access to the things that I do. Hey, how do you do that trick? Well, I got it here. And I'm really not making much money or like counting that as my business, but I have a shop.
And does your shop stock the Richard Jones magic kit?
If the Doug Kahn magic kit wasn't on the list, I would consider that for sure. But,
and then you need the Jason Ma magic kit.
I'll wait for that to happen.
The Josh Libido magic kit that just is full of caps and Rubik's cubes.
No, like that. It's important to have that stuff to make good profit at these shows, right? I'm assuming this merch is a big part of your business equation, right? You got shirts. Do you have a deck of cards? Do you have that happening, or what are you selling?
The only thing I sell is magic sets, mainly because my first tour I did in 2016, we had Military Illusionist, which is my branding, hoodies. But it was just complicated with the different sizes and people wanting to try stuff on. And then I realized that actually for me in my show, I think that the less is more. I think if there's one thing, people either want it or they don't. If they want it, they'll go take it. I in fact, tell a lie. I also do posters, but it's usually a deal. Like if you get a magic set, you get the signed poster with it anyway. But I think it streamlines the whole process. It's nice on the way out. People will get a poster, and then I'll be at the exit as well, and I'll sign those for them as they go.
Smart.
I find like too many decisions for people leaving, it just gets complicated. Then end up cramming the stall. And
this is good. Yeah, this is good advice. Then, how much is a Richard Jones magic kit?
So they're in all honesty slightly different per venue, depending on how much commission a venue wants. Sometimes the venue have to push up the price, but yeah, £15.
And can you convert that to Australian dollars and then to American dollars?
Thank you.
No, I can't.
15 of anything sounds reasonable. That's probably about $30 American, maybe 25.
Yeah,
that's
if it's
fine.
25 American, that's 40 Australian probably.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right.
There was a question earlier from Goldbug, and this is good because non-magicians or people who aren't doing it professionally don't usually know like how we get booked for events. And I am curious to know in the UK. So Goldbug asked, this might be irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. But when asked someone, right. Okay. So they know you've been on TV, you've done some great things, but how do you get booked for gigs and stuff? Do you promote it yourself and others come to you or vice versa? So what I'm curious about is, is the corporate scene very agent heavy, or is it like running Google AdWords, or is it just word of mouth, or is it like all of it? How do you get booked for your corporates?
A lot of it's a really good question. So in the UK, most of the big corporate stuff is agencies. All the big events find an agent to then just arrange everything. So most of my work is agent work. But I have a management now who are hugely respected in the UK, one of the biggest agencies. And I'm the only magician signed to them, which is handy. But wow. they have a whole load of clients that they have a load of clients that they actually put on the whole events for. So they're super busy. So since I've signed up with them, that keeps me busy in the corporate world. I do get a lot of stuff through my own website, but I just pass that straight on to my agency, and then they deal with all the logistics, all that kind of stuff. But occasionally I'll still do weddings. They tend to be just couples reaching out to me from my website. But I enjoy doing weddings. I don't do them very often. It's not really the market that I'm known in, but I enjoy doing those. But yeah, a majority of stuff really is tour shows and the corporate scene. But I'm curious actually because someone told me that wedding magicians isn't really a thing in America. But what about Australia?
Sadly, it's not. I wish it was. I probably would have been a much happier magician in my life if I could go entertain happy people at happy events.
Oh, they're easy gigs.
Faced with, Rockin' Doopsie playing at level 11 with 200 drunk corporate business people who don't want to see magic.
Yeah. We had a friend of ours from the UK, Richard Parsons, come on, called the Gloucestershire Magician on Instagram. And he purely just does weddings. And we had this convo about how like that's just wild to me because magic is a very exotic idea, like cool, like wow, that's a really rare thing. When someone sees a magician at a wedding, that's usually the vibe I get. They go, what a great idea, and like they've never seen it. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably doing one wedding, I want to say like every 2 months maybe.
Here's Bob's advice: just call it the trendy European thing to do and then book it like that. So,
yeah. It is getting more, it's slowly becoming more. It's not common at all, but there's slowly a few more inquiries for weddings.
Over the last 2 years, I've done 2. Prior to that, 0. So it's starting to like ease in a little bit.
It's a huge market. It blows our minds. Over here, it's such a big thing.
It's ideal
it's how
for
most magicians in the UK
ideal for a wedding.
Yeah, but I think also what we learned from Richard Parsons is that UK weddings are a little different. And what he explained was that a wedding in the UK is an all-day affair. Like there'll be the ceremony, and then there's like the stuff that'll happen during the day, and then there'll be the feast at night. Is that sort of on par?
Is it how do you guys do it? Is it not?
So over here in Australia, there will be. So I went to a wedding. I've been to 2 weddings, like friends' weddings in the last month, and you rock up to the ceremony at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. You have the ceremony for an hour, and then you go away and do something because the reception is in a different place, and you all just rock up there at like 6 p.m. and then you start all of the speeches and stuff. So there isn't actually much gaps to fill. So whenever I'm booked, it's because they're having the ceremony and reception in the same place, and they just need that hour filled when they're getting their photos taken before the reception starts. So I think it's because the actual wedding themselves are different in the UK to over
there's
here.
A lot they could use in the States for sure that could host magicians. A lot of people spend a lot of money on their weddings.
That's true.
And some of us go to Elvis at the Chapel of Love. Oh, shut up.
It's calling Elvis.
Aaron and I, we got married in 15 minutes. We were done and back at the casino, and ready to rock out that way. Happy as a clam.
You didn't need to hire any magicians.
No, but we did go see Copperfield on that trip, so that was a fun one.
There you go. He's a great wedding.
It'd be expensive to have had at the chapel. Yeah.
Can you imagine? I think I remember seeing a list once of like how much it is to hire magicians, and I think he was up there at $1 million, probably because he just doesn't, want to have to leave his wonderful theater. But
$1 million, huh?
I think so.
I guess when you're a billionaire, that's what it costs. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
America.
$1 million. That sounds about right.
Nice.
Which is probably, if you converted Richard Jones' booking fee into Australian dollars, probably would be $1 million. That makes sense.
Yeah, I wish.
But no, that's cool. So you actually don't have to do that many weddings. I mean, it's not that we don't want to because they are super fun, but obviously corporate events are a little bigger budget. You can do stage shows, whereas weddings are more close up and that kind of thing.
Curious if you're using video and screens on your touring shows. Are you projecting close-up magic onto a screen?
I am now, yeah. So my first 2 tours, 2016, 2017, I didn't. It was all stuff that was big enough to be able to see at the back of the room. The majority of my theatre shows are kind of between 400 and 600 seats.
Nice.
So it was okay to do that. But yeah, the last year, we've added in live feed cameras because I have a camera that now follows me into the crowd. I do some close-up magic for someone in the crowd facing the stage, which is kind of a nice thing to see because people can see themselves in the background, which is kind of a nice vibe. It was a huge undertaking to kind of get all that to work, though.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Did you
figure out all the tech involved?
Yeah. Are you using a wireless camera? Like, did you figure that kind of tech out? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And does the cameraman following you the whole time?
I think it's called a Teradek. Are you using that to go wireless?
No. So I would like to try that. So the minute I use a Holylands.
The Holyland Mars 2 or something, 1 or 2.
Yeah, something like that. But there's still a little bit of a delay. So I try to avoid doing anything where my mouth is in shot, just because if it doesn't match up, it's just so unnerving for people to watch. It's such an annoyance. But it doesn't affect me too much. So I have 2 cameras. I have one on a tripod facing down at a table for close-up stuff for a couple of points in the show, and one that follows me into the crowd on a gimbal, and a person walking with it for a piece in the crowd. But the majority of the show doesn't use cameras. They're just little bits dotted around. It kind of breaks up the segments in a nice way. I have a big intro video that starts, and I have a video that finishes the show as well, like a comedy finish where something gets revealed that happened at the start that looked like it was a mistake kind of vibe. But yeah, I think having a screen makes such a big difference. Even at corporate shows, occasionally they don't have screens. And especially walking onto stage, if you haven't had a video introduction highlighting who you are and kind of showing that you've done this before, if you don't have that and you walk on stage and people aren't really paying attention, they don't know who you are or what you're going to do.
Especially
it's a tougher start. Yeah.
And now here's the magician.
Yeah, especially sometimes you get a terrible intro voice of God as well, and it's like a perfect storm if that happens too.
Yeah, I mean, and Joshua Day, he's a great guy. But Joshua J, rather, he was part of a university study, if you guys remember this, about asking the audience, doing a study on them where they would do like an A and B test, where they would show one test group. This particular part was they just showed a magician. I think they showed Sean Farquhar. They just went, watch this act. And then the other group, they said, watch this act, but just so you know, he's an award-winning and said all his accolades. And this test group, it was on average, it was a 20% more enjoyment of watching that clip without them realizing, because they've been told who he is, what he's done, full Tenatella or blah, 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 blah. And it was significantly noticed the same act, just that they'd been given a proper intro first. And
well, I guess the moment they hear a magician's coming on, everyone in the audience looks back to the last magician they saw, and that's what they're expecting to see, right? So I suppose, if they've had a bad experience in the past, it's important to have something that kind of highlights that you're worth watching. But I'm sure I've seen you, Josh, walk on the stage and you have a pyro flash or something. I'm sure I've seen a clip of that. You do that to get their attention. I think that's a real smart thing to do. Especially, I mean, in the UK, it's always a challenge to get people's attention right at the start. But something like that's probably a good shout, I assume.
I wasn't, and that, I didn't start that idea myself, but it's, I just want people to see something straight away, and people will watch fire, it's like it's a very caveman type of thing. Anytime you want to get attention in a loud audience, you throw some fire, and it's like, two things I've learned. People will watch fire, and I learned this from Paul Daniels. If you say, what's your name, people will all pay attention because they don't know who you're asking that to, and they want to tell you their name, so that will get people's attention. And but if fire is good, yeah. I'm still waiting, Doug, for your fireball, your JBL fireball.
Yeah, well, it's on the way.
Can't wait. He's got a finger flasher.
Sometimes I gift fireball kits. Josh got a fireball kit.
Okay.
You want a fireball kit, Richard Jones?
I want to put it in my magic set.
Okay, that's the right answer. I can say no to that. Thank you. This international shipping is killing me.
God, yeah.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
But that's what you should hand out to the children at gigs is fireballs. That's what you give them, some flint wheels and cellulose.
So you've been doing Facebook Lives, that I've seen anyway, sort of commentating on the Britain's Got Talent as they go out. I think that's super smart. Almost like an ambassador of the Got Talent.
I need to do more. You know what? I was planning on every Saturday night. I was planning on, as soon as the show finishes, doing kind of a little rundown of what I thought the acts. And I started doing it the first 2 weeks, but I keep missing. I've had gigs the last kind of 3 Saturdays now. I mean, I think there's only one more episode left on a Saturday, so I've kind of missed that regular vibe. But I'll probably try and do maybe a roundup once all the episodes have aired of all the great magician moments, maybe. And because I mean, that's the majority of my audience are kind of Britain's Got Talent audience, people who have kind of joined me since then, as opposed to I mean, that's still where most of my followers come from, where most of my bookings come from, to be honest, is still people who just randomly come across my YouTube clips of BGT, which actually is a little bit annoying.
You're going to be the winner of AGT forever, and that's going to be a great accolade that'll book you shows forever. You should that's a very proud badge of honor, in my opinion.
I mean, that's definitely got to help with the booking process, right? Like when a corporate client sees that accolade, it's definitely got to help the
I think without that, this isn't happening because of that same perceived value we spoke of earlier. You've done something that people are aware of, and now they know who you are and will have that 20% chance more to come see you at a theater.
Yeah.
Like
it's still my ambition to be super regular posting on YouTube and get those 600,000 followers.
Welcome to YouTube Shorts. All you got to do, 5 videos a week. That's all it takes for about 2 years.
Did you? Well, you do 5 a week? Wow,
for 2 years.
Tough.
These are YouTube Shorts, so they're under a minute, but it has to be jam packed, full of content in that minute, right, Doug? I mean,
it's like TikTok.
We should just listen to Doug, but.
It just has to be interesting and ideally offer the viewer value.
Is it too late to jump on the YouTube Shorts journey though? Because I know they've been around.
So what I would do if I was you is start posting on Facebook Reels, which has got a much bigger reach right now, and YouTube is a tough road to hoe these days. So. Always good to be where the action's at. And on the short form videos, it's Facebook Reels right now, in my opinion.
I mean, we say that, but Doug, like Instagram, you would think is oversaturated and been around for a long time. But Doug, you only really started learning how to do YouTube, like a month ago or something. And your Instagram is at 47K.
So I must say, this year, I focused very hard on bringing my Instagram numbers up. I started with 1,000 followers at the beginning of this year. It took a long time to get
to 10. 40,000.
So it took about 6 months. What? No, about 4 months to get to 10,000. And in the last 2 months, again, thanks to the short form videos, we've reached 40-something thousand. I'm growing a lot right now. I have a second viral video happening on Instagram as we speak. And I'm excited to do well on Instagram. It's a very interesting prospect that I hadn't considered because for so long I did not care for the Facebook business model, but then they started paying me and I changed my mind. So.
Makes sense.
All right.
I am a prostitute.
Is it decent? It's a decent amount. It's worth doing then, obviously.
Sadly, they just changed their amount. They've downgraded it, and you could search Facebook challenges for their new Reels payment process. And it's kind of an interesting approach that certainly rewards good creators. And no one knows what they're doing. YouTube's figuring it out. Everyone's still figuring it out, and they're trying to figure it out. But right now, they're paying the most. So, yay, Facebook.
Wow. Meta. Facebook Reels. Hey, before we go, Richard, what, for the magicians listening, what do you have any advice you usually pass on to magicians or people who aspire to do what you're doing? What's on your mind for them?
I mean, the majority of questions I get asked from magicians is I know a lot of people are worried about going on shows, TV shows. I was quite lucky when I went on. I didn't really have as much pressure as most magicians. Most magicians who are full-time magicians, if they go on and it doesn't go well, there's quite a lot of risk to their livelihoods. Whereas because I was full-time in the army, if I'd gone on and they'd made me look silly, it didn't really matter. I would have just carried on life. So it's a little bit easy for me to say this, but I always say, always just take every opportunity that comes your way. I mean, when I first decided I wanted to do TV magic, I applied to probably about 40 different TV shows. And I ended up doing, we have a show here called The Chase. It's like a game show. I don't know if you have it there. And I got on that show in 2015, and I got to do a magic trick on that TV show. And I thought, that's great. And I kept applying to more TV shows. And then I got on another daytime TV show and I did a trick on that. I thought, wow, this is really exciting. And then I saw Britain's Got Talent. So I auditioned for that. And kind of in the year between 2015 and 2016, my whole career in every aspect of performing kind of skyrocketed. But it was literally because I made a commitment in 2015 that I was going to reach out and try and just say yes to everything. And I fast-tracked hugely in the space of a year and a half, going from kind of hardly ever performing to maybe doing 1 or 2 weddings a year from the start of 2015 to then obviously doing BGT in 2016. It skyrocketed, but it's because of every opportunity, every chance, I would say yes to everything. And even if I wasn't prepared for it, I would just make sure in the window between agreeing to it and doing it, I just made sure I had to work to do it. I remember my first stage show was for a group of 600 army officers, like senior people in the army. in this big room. It was in the Cyprus, in the United Nations kind of area. So it was from all over the world. And they said, "Oh, do you mind doing a show for us? It's in 2 weeks," because they heard I did magic. I only knew a couple of card tricks at the time, but I said yes. And it's probably the worst show that anyone had ever seen. But the fact that I'd got up and tried to entertain 600 people in a space of learning what I could learn in 2 weeks was a big deal. So yeah, if there's ever any way of growing, anyone ever offers you anything that could help you progress, just do it. Take it. Just say yes to everything. Yeah. Which is kind of
you got to be comfortable.
I was just going to say now that I've done TV, I now say no to most things, which is kind of contradicts what I say. But the biggest time that I've ever grown was in that year where
you had a goal, you stayed consistent and persistent, you worked hard and practiced what you preach. So that's what it takes.
Same as your YouTube, yeah. That's exactly
it's quite the same, right? When I had a small amount of success on, during the pandemic, and I said, I think I can do this, and I put all of my energy in it, and I was right. I could do it. So I'm doing that now. And I don't take gigs as much. I turn them down like you. It's like I'm happily turning down gigs these days.
I'll take all those gigs. All right.
You don't want the gigs I'm turning down, brother. Trust me. You don't want New Orleans gigs.
True.
Ain't nothing nice happening in Doug Kahn's.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll talk later.
So you can follow, you know who Richard is if you're watching this, but if you don't, his website is in the description below. That'll lead you to all his further work and videos and tours and that kind of thing. But Richard, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Richard. It was a joy.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
He's got a ton of his own live videos you can watch if you want to see more. Look at his sexy eCam setup he has, so you know he's doing this stuff. So you can watch him again after the podcast and all his streams there. But I'm very jealous of your hairline. It's amazing. And guys, we'll see you next time on The Magic Guys.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of The Magic Guys.